Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of It Happened to Me, brought to you by thisweirdworld.com. This week on the show, I have my friend Sammy Fox. Hey, Sammy, how are you doing tonight?
How are y'all doing? How's everybody going?
Hey, man, I'm super excited to have you on the show this week. Sammy and I know each other through music. That's how we met. He's a fantastic singer-songwriter. And Sammy, why don't you go ahead and actually introduce yourself, and then we'll get into your stories.
Oh, well, like he said, my name is Sammy Fox, and I've played Texas country music for 22 years in some capacity, whether it was playing with other people as a drummer or it was playing with, other artists. I've met some of the top artists and are friends with them currently because of the outlet that Texas country music gave me. So I'm really proud to be a part of that scene. And just toured and had a great time doing it.
Awesome, man. Well, and I know that right now you are part owner in a restaurant. Is that correct?
Yes.
Fantastic. Do you want to mention the name of that place, or you want to keep that on the down low?
It's the Singing Chef. I'm not going to confirm whether or not it happened there.
Okay, perfect. So my understanding is you've had a few interesting experiences at your restaurant. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, while working.
While working. Okay. Yeah.
Yes,
there you go. That's a better way to say it.
Yeah. So I'm a skeptic. I'm not really a person that really believes in the supernatural. I'm more of a person that is more of a science-based and maybe even a little spiritual based as far as Christianity. So the ghost idea for me is feasible based on what I believe, but I don't seek it out.
Sure.
So I was standing in the restaurant one day, and I was just washing some dishes, and the freezer door opened by itself, slammed, and the ice scooper fell off the freezer. And that was my first incident with anything that I couldn't explain. I looked at it again, and I thought that maybe, the ice fell and caused a vibration, which caused the scooper to fall, and that's where I left it.
So was this like a commercial? You said freezer, but I think you meant an ice machine, right? One of those
machine,
with the flapper doors.
Yeah, ice machine.
So was this obviously you weren't standing there staring at it when you were doing dishes, but this is I've been in restaurants, and I know you have too, and that's one of those doors that's on an angle, and it would have to lift up and slam back down, right?
Right, exactly. Yep, a gravity flap. And I just dismissed that. It was my second paranormal experience that I ever remember in my lifetime, not involving the restaurant. The first one was when I was a kid. A pair of my British Knight shoes walked across the threshold of my door, and I went and told my parents, and they did not believe me.
They were what kind of shoes?
British Knights, the 1989 classics that were really popular. They were really popular back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Wow, but you actually saw them walk across a threshold.
At least 3 to 4 steps. I saw them alternating. And that was when I was a kid. And anytime someone talked about ghosts, that was the only time that I ever had to sit there and think about, hey, that's unexplainable.
Right.
So that was
when you said that was your second paranormal experience. Do you want to talk about your first paranormal experience?
Well, that was my first one. The second one was the ice machine.
Okay, so that was it. You'd never really had any other paranormal experiences besides those two things. So you don't go out and seek out ghost investigations or shows or anything like that, right?
Right.
Okay, awesome. Well, so my understanding is you had a few experiences at one of your workplaces.
Right.
So why don't you tell me about another one?
one day I was standing at the front of the bar, and my coworker was standing next to me, and we were just preparing to open for the day, and we heard a loud crash of a metal mixing bowl. Now, just to be clear, the shelf that they sit on is an angled shelf. It has drain holes, and it has a lip that keeps everything inside of it. So it's not like it could have just fell off the end for improper placement. It literally had to get out of that lip and get onto the ground, and which was what was the most freaky part about it for me.
Okay. And you said you were standing with a coworker, right?
Right, and it was just us two in there.
Wow.
So,
So it was a metal bowl that fell on the floor.
mhm.
And did you guys actually see it move, or you just heard the crash?
No, I heard the crash. I came in there, and it was still like rolling on the floor. Um,
Wow.
and then I just picked it up and put it back. Just what do you do?
Yeah.
uh, but the next time, so that happened, and this is at the same place. Uh, by the way, this same coworker keeps witnessing everything I'm witnessing, and so we're convinced, and we're telling the bar, uh, about it. Some regular customers, and the one of the customers who has been coming to this particular place for 8 years was like, yes, we've heard this exact description. We've heard these exact things happening. We have an idea who it is.
Really?
Um, yes. And they said there was a bar manager who uh, was drinking one night, and they all tried to get him to stop, and he didn't. And he crashed and died on the way home with unfinished business at the bar. He left everything that he was working on. And so they said that this guy presents himself in a silhouette, a black silhouette, and that he doesn't stick around long. And that there's also a mother and daughter who had some type of incident where they both died. I'm not sure if it was a car wreck. They didn't really elaborate, but they said there's potentially 3 spirits that, invaded. And I want to clarify, like, it wasn't these establishments' fault. Like these aren't incidents. Like, no one knows when someone's last day is,
Right.
and these people happen to perish after, well, they perished in their own life, but it happened to be something about that particular building or situation that they really couldn't let go. Maybe they loved the atmosphere. Maybe they really were dedicated. I don't know,
Right.
but now it's got me questioning every scenario.
And I apologize. You can hear me possibly yawning. It's been a
It's
long
okay.
day like you. So
Yeah.
it's not that the story is not interesting. I just want to clarify
Right.
that. But I do
That's
these,
okay.
as you know, it's, 9 o'clock Central Time, and my day starts at 7:30 a.m. So it's been a long
Right.
day.
Yes, I
So,
understand.
um, so these coworker that's been seeing this stuff with you, have they seen other things too, or just the same incidents you've seen?
Um, they didn't really elaborate. It
Okay.
felt like almost they were very familiar with what I was saying. It was
Okay.
like old hat, yeah, it was like more like, yeah, that
Yeah. Like,
happens.
duh.
And it's not like any of those people who I work with and worked with that during those times. It's not like any of them sat around, wearing Ghostbusters uniforms. They were just regular people, and we all experienced something we couldn't explain. So,
So is that all you've seen or had happen at your workplaces? Is just the two incidents, the ice
uh,
machine and the bowl crashing?
well, I guess you could say two incidents, but the same incidents happen often. Like
Okay.
the freezer thing happened 3 times total now, and the bowl thing has happened twice.
Okay.
And then him making I say him because he looks like a male, but him making an appearance in,
Okay.
in those places on a
So you've
regular
actually
basis.
seen this silhouette that you were talking about.
Right, but it's so quick. It's like you feel something behind you and you turn around and it's gone. When you
Yeah.
see it, it's enough just to be like, it's just enough to uh, guarantee that you see a human silhouette, you know. So
Well, and that's a pretty common, just so you know what you're describing. I know you don't really watch paranormal shows or anything, but that exact um, circumstance gets described by people a lot when they're talking about basically shadow people. Is you feel something and you catch something like out of the corner of your eye, but by the time you turn to look at it, it's gone. Um,
absolutely.
but that, just so you know, that's actually really, really common when you talk to people who have had experiences like yours and they see a shadow person. It's exactly that. They barely catch it, or they feel like it but they don't see it, or like you said, they turn to look at it and it's gone. That's pretty common. So don't feel alone, man. There's lots of people out there with similar experiences.
That's true. That's true.
So how long have you so I know you don't want to give out the location of the place where this is happening, but is it a place you're at frequently, or one day a week, or you're up
Um,
there pretty regularly?
I, I at the time I was up there all the time.
Okay. So, and you said other employees have reported similar kind of experiences?
Yes, and the funny part is, it wasn't even provoked. I wasn't even around or on the clock that day. I was minding my own business. These people came in for their shift. Something weird happened to one of them out by the cooler, and they came back to tell everyone, and uh, they were freaked out, and I overheard it, and I was like, "Ugh, I don't know what to think."
Well, and was it a similar kind of thing? Was it they saw a
It was
shadow
an
person?
appearance. It was an appearance. Like, they wouldn't give details of what it looked like, but they said they saw a body, a person, a like figure in the back, and yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
I'm sure that's got to be a little freaky for you guys.
yeah. Because you spend most of your day blocking it out, and then it and then it happens, and you're like, okay, so now I have to think about this again. How
Yeah.
am I going to approach it?
Well, has it happened at different times of the day, or has it only happened at night?
I think the most frequent, actually, none of this has happened at night. All of this has happened before 11 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're there early in the morning and this is happening. And is it just normally does this happen when there's just a few people there? So like once the bar
Yeah.
or the restaurant kind of opens and things get moving, it kind of settles down?
Yeah. It's more of, I think they like to catch you when you're like deep in something. If you're
Mm-hmm.
deep in chopping vegetables or washing dishes, or you know taking care of business, that's when they like to make themselves known. I guess they want to be a part of the situation. I guess.
Well, and maybe a way to look at it is instead of them looking at it as a scary thing, it's another coworker trying to play a practical joke on you, right? Gotcha.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, we don't have enough employees for that, so we can account for them all.
That's right. Well, is that all that's kind of happened? Is this the bowl and the freezer door and the appearances that you know of?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the actual incidences themselves. So when you said that you kind of get a feeling like someone's behind you or whatever, does it feel bad, or is it just the sense like, somebody might be back there?
No, for me, it was peripheral. I could see something, and then I went to acknowledge it.
Ah,
But
okay.
then when I went to acknowledge whoever I thought that person was, it was not a person. So
Interesting.
it was like, as long as I didn't make direct eye contact with this thing, um, it was staying around. But once I tried to put eyes and confirm,
That was it. It
it
was gone.
disappeared. Right.
Okay. That's pretty interesting, man. So, like you said, you're kind of a skeptic. And I guess, how does this change your feelings on the paranormal?
So because it has not happened to me all across the country and the world, I haven't really had those. I think that for me, if I decide to internalize that this was a real event, I would have to say that it's location specific.
Okay. So, does this make you curious about other paranormal events?
It does, but I'm also interested in bass fishing, and it's too many of them to keep up with. So,
I understand that.
yeah,
So,
so
so what you're saying is that this isn't going to turn into Sammy Fox, amateur ghost hunter.
no. About the most it's going to turn into is a song.
There you go. So yeah,
Uh,
I can't wait to hear that song about the ghost in the kitchen. That'd be good.
don't hold your breath.
Well, I know that, like I said, I know you through music. I know you're a fantastic singer.
Thank
So
you.
why don't you take just a second? And I meant to do this with another person I interviewed earlier. I'll have to get them to do the same thing. And you're still doing the singing chef thing, and I'm guessing you're still playing some shows. So
I took a hiatus from the shows because it was the logical thing to do with the pandemic, and I wanted to really focus and give a product at the Singing Chef of sweet and savory. It's very hard to accomplish. People are quick to say that's not something I would put together, but in order to do it right and you taste it, then you understand. And I had to really focus on that aspect of my business, and it was really great to just take a break off of the shows and focus on being a chef. I love being a chef. I mean, I love every plate I make. So I'm still doing a little bit of music, but right now I'm really focused on growing the business, and then I'll be playing in between there.
sure. Well, do you have a website?
I actually don't have a website for the Singing Chef, but I have a Facebook and all that stuff. But I do have a website for my daughter's company. I started for her. It's called ScarletFoxSeasoningCompany.com, and it's a custom seasoning, like labels like Meat Church and Earl Campbell's. It's a brand, and I use all of the brands from that seasoning company to cook the food at my restaurant. So if you like the flavors, you can go ahead and grab you and the seasoning and take it home with you.
Oh man, that's perfect. That's fantastic. So why don't you shoot me that website, and I'll make sure and put it in the end card for you.
All right, man. Well, it was a great pleasure talking to you, Rocky, and I missed the days of the guitar stringing and the good times, the laughter, and that's what I remember the most. Rocky Lott, Stu Stewart, and all those guys, man, just laughing and carrying on. And I just thought that I hit the jackpot on fabulous people. So I appreciate you inviting me today.
Absolutely, man. I really appreciate you being on the show. Let me end the recording. We'll just hang out for a second.
All right, man.